Hey everybody, and welcome to Stock Abilities. I'm going to be covering why I believe that FAANG stocks are not going to do so hot in this upcoming earnings here coming into tomorrow or already happened depending on when you're watching this video. And one of the main reasons that I'm bringing this up is there's been a lot of hype with Apple, a lot of hype with Facebook, a lot of hype with all these other big FAANG stocks, and they keep hyping them up over and over again. They keep upgrading them. They keep pushing how great they're going to do for earnings, how good their future is. But the problem with a lot of this is that they're hyping and they're giving all this information out ahead of time. So when they actually get to the earnings, is Apple's earnings going to be good? Yeah, probably. But the problem with that is that if you already know the outcome, then the hedge funds and everybody else is likely to know that outcome as well. So when you're trying to go and buy into this, and get all excited about it. And you're chasing these upgrades, you're chasing these analyst positivity and all this kind of stuff. You got to factor in. So during the earnings, is there going to be a big enough surprise to actually push Apple higher right away? Probably not, because you're already knowing that they're going to be making a lot. It's going to ultimately come down to guidance. Is all this guidance, especially with expansion into things like the India market, going to be all that impactful? Motley Fool seems to think so. Unfortunately, with Motley Fool, I use them as a kind of a counterintuitive scenario here. I tend to inverse more major media outlets and more major analyst upgrades because they use this to sell into the momentum. They don't try to help you. They're not trying to benefit you. They're trying to kind of go against you, get you motivated to buy into these positions, get you motivated and excited to hold through things like the earnings report coming up here for Apple, Facebook, and Tesla. But the problem is that if you're already aware of all of this, this expansion and this profitability and things like that, they're likely going to already have this baked into that price. Apple's phones were a big thing. There's a lot of other things going on with Apple. There's a lot of potential surprises with Apple. But the problem with Apple ultimately is that a lot of this is already known. So unless there's an unknown surprise coming out of the woodworks for Apple, you're not really going to see a lot of positive impact for into the future. It's going to come to guidance. Will they continue to expand beyond that and continue to be good? Yeah, probably. But is the guidance going to be good enough to beat such a great earnings to begin with? Probably not. Now, if we factor in the fact that they're so bullish on this and everything's so great, what if they miss the earnings? That's going to be very, very terrible for the stock. So not only are they hyped up to these peak expectations of what people are expecting for the earnings and the growth and all these numbers that are sort of already released, what exactly are people going to be looking for when they come into Apple? There's not going to be a whole lot left to get excited about. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be a bearish earnings. Once again, when it comes to earnings, it comes down to guidance. But when you have analysts upgrading and you have banks and all these other people excited about the stock market and these tickers, you're thinking to yourself, well, what exactly are the expectations in the future for this company? Now, is Apple probably going to go up in the future? Is it going to be up by the end of the year? Very likely, but the problem is a lot of this seems to be setting up for a bearish dump into February. They're hyping all these FANG stocks. Even if Apple goes and beats and goes up, even if Facebook goes and beats and goes up, the problem is, where is the direction next? Because then it's going to hit a dead season because all these earnings are going to come out and then everything's going to go slowly back in decline. Looking at their chart, you have Apple basically hitting almost an absolute peak before the earnings. Now, the only news that's really been coming out is basically news that's already known about what their earnings are probably going to be expected. So it comes down to the sell the news factor. You already know that their earnings are likely going to be good, but are they going to be good enough that they can beat them on the next earnings? So you got a guidance coming up here. Now, Apple tends to beat earnings quite often. So I would be bullish on that, but I'd be a little bit iffy on the guidance into the future. Facebook, same thing. You have upgrades and you have, these are a great price. Get in now. Days before the earnings, you're getting this hype into those earnings. Are they going to be bullish? Facebook, 50-50. I think it's more likely Facebook's going to be a bit more of a push up than Apple. But at the same time, they're already kind of baking in these sales. They're already kind of expecting these big moves. They're already expecting what they feel is the likelihood of the earnings. So they're already kind of pricing in this kind of bump up on the share price here. They're already kind of baking that in. Facebook went through its almost entire channel in literally almost just a day or two. So it really didn't take a whole lot of push and a whole lot of move here to get Facebook basically where it is today, in essence, because, they didn't really do a whole lot of anything in that regard other than push it up. And then all it's been doing in the past week is push it up. It's been upgrades. It's been hype. All these people coming out, Motley Fool again, hyping it out, saying these are terrible reasons to leave Facebook. Don't listen to that. Buy at all-time highs. They go into a lot of detail about it. This isn't just like a small thing. They're overhyping it like as much as they possibly can in order to show you that they feel that there's a potential future for it. They're looking, if you look at the channel here, they're hyping it at the absolute peak, as you can see here at the top of their channel. They ran through their whole entire channel when they've been bouncing around it for literally months. In just a week, right before earnings. Now, this is a very, very suspicious movement. It comes down to guidance. Is Facebook's guidance going to be good in the future? Facebook has a very, very big data collection on a lot of people. I think the share price will continue to go up. The problem is, are you buying at the right time? Probably not when you have analysts upgrading it and you have all these other people hyping it. And then you can go a little bit further here. Guidance is one of the main things that's looked at for earnings. There's companies that have amazing earnings, but the problem is their earnings are so good that their guidance is not likely to going to beat into the future. So they're too profitable, which is, it sounds kind of ridiculous, but profitability is key in expansion. So what are investors going to want to stick to if they're doing it too well? Is there going to be a little bit of a downturn? In my opinion, yes. I believe that Facebook and Apple are going to have a little bit of a rough patch, and that's going to kind of drag tech down as well. Of course, you got Google and Amazon and all these other ones, Apple here, but just, looking at Apple in the past year, it's been going up, which is nice. But the problem is that there, as you can see, if you look at the multi-year, there's dips. The dip is likely to be coming here very soon. Of course, this is a speculative video, so don't, get too angry if these break out higher. But, looking at these, you can tell that they're pushing almost to their absolute peaks. Facebook might be promising for in earnings because it's not quite peaking yet, but it did push out from literally the bottom of its channel to the top of its channel in just a week. This isn't just a week and a half. This isn't, a bullish sign prior to earnings. This is kind of bearish going into earnings because it gapped up its entire channel. You got Tesla here. Tesla's been going up almost endlessly. We'll be covering that in a whole separate video as to why I feel that Tesla S&P inclusion is very, very bearish. But as you can see, it's just been going up straight. Prior to that, it didn't do a whole lot for multiple years. There isn't anything really inherently new about Tesla other than that they've basically acquired more and more debt. You go into Amazon. Amazon is the same thing. Amazon's kind of been in a consolidation phase, though, so it personally, in my opinion, has promised to break out and like really break out. And from a technical standpoint, Amazon's a very profitable company. So that might be something that helps balance things out a little bit from totally crashing in February. But even then, Amazon is kind of pushing up a lot and pushed out of its channel from the bottom there too, similar to Facebook. Google pretty much hitting all-time highs, and it's not even its earnings yet. You know, uh, it's nice that it's pushing all-time highs, but the problem is how much news is already going to be baked into these tech companies and these FANG companies. What is the likely future of them? Honestly, I think we're going to hit a bit of a rock bottom here coming into February. Option sweeps are not looking very positive. You can check them out for yourself in the link below if you'd like more information on that. But essentially, I believe that the future for FANG is going to be a little bit of a rough patch here coming into the next month, maybe the next month or two. They've hyped everything up so much that the continuation in the future of that hype is going to be a very, very big problem to maintain for these upcoming earnings. But this is just my opinion. Feel free to share your opinion in the comments below, what you think about FANG stocks and what you think about their potential growth and how well they might beat earnings or how well they might not. All there in the comments below. You could just leave them there and I'll do my best to answer them or answer any questions you have about this video. And thanks for listening in, guys, and have a great day.